So Remedyforce Summer 14 was released about a month ago, and we, as usual, added additional enhancements. We addressed some customer requests for enhancements, and we just added a lot of capabilities. So the goal for today's session initially was to introduce you to what's changed. I see from the poll that's up that only half of you are current Remedyforce customers. So now that I understand that, I will also take a little bit of time to kind of orient the rest of you to what Remedyforce looks like out of the box. So what you're seeing here on this slide is simply a high-level list of the key capabilities that we added. There are a lot of console updates that I'm going to be showing you today. We also added chat capability so that end users can chat with agents from the self-service portal, and then the agents have the option to choose whether or not they're available for chat. This is a beta so that we can work through any kinks, but in testing it does work fine. We've added enhancements to self-service. Today I'm going to be showing you also the Salesforce One app for staff. So we now use the Salesforce One app, which is made available by Salesforce.com, and their customers use Salesforce One as a mobile app for any of their Salesforce apps. So we support it with Remedyforce now. So we'll be taking a look at that from the agent's perspective. I'm also going to talk a little bit about My IT as a self-service option, and I'll show that to you as well. Okay. Now, although we're not going to get into Asset Core integration today, I do want to mention that we do have customers who have integrated Remedyforce with pure asset management systems. Asset Core, or BMC Client Management, is one of them, so we've added enhancements to that integration. So if you're currently a Remedyforce customer and you're also using client management, aka Asset Core, or plan to, you can certainly contact BMC and we can arrange a demo and discussion. One of the great enhancements that we added is collision detection and impact analysis for change management. So you'll be seeing all of these things today in greater detail. Okay? All right, so I just wanted to have one slide to introduce you to what I'm going to discuss today, because really, ultimately, I want to spend our time in Remedyforce. So right now, what you're looking at is my agent console in Remedyforce. Now, those of you who are already Salesforce customers or Remedyforce customers, as you're aware, you can have different views, different tab availability and arrangements for different profiles, etc. So unlike COT software, everything you see on my screen right now is configurable. This is my demo system, so I'm logged in as myself with administrative rights. But the tabs you see going across the top of the screen are the ones that I chose to display for my profile, because these are the functions within Remedyforce that I use on a regular basis. Some of our customers use different profiles for maybe the service desk, for example. So for the service desk personnel, they may not want the Remedyforce Administration tab available on that profile's homepage. What I'm looking at right now is the dashboard page with Remedyforce, just like with any Salesforce platform application. It's very easy for users to create and configure dashboard components, because the dashboard components are just graphical representations of underlying report data, and they can be refreshed. So these are just 6 that I chose to have on my key dashboard page. However, you can have multiple dashboards, and you can allow different users to create their own dashboards. You could have different dashboard options by profile or role within the organization. Okay. That said, I'm going to get right to some of the key enhancements with Remedyforce Summer 14, so I'm going to go to my Remedyforce Console. Now, those of you who are current Remedyforce customers, I hope or imagine that you're aware of the fact that we now have the unified console available to us, so that from one console view, we can work with incidents and service requests, tasks, problems, change requests, and releases. With Summer 14, we also moved broadcasts over to the shared Remedyforce console. Now, to give myself some more working space, I'm just going to go ahead and close this fly window. And we're going to start with looking at incidents and service requests. Okay? Now, those of you who are familiar with Salesforce apps or Remedyforce are familiar with the concepts of views. For those of you who are not, with Remedyforce, you have the ability to create different views. Those views could have different filters applied, and you can make views available to different people or different profiles. Now, I've created many views, as you see from my drop-down list. I have one for facilities. So, for example, we have a lot of customers who use Remedyforce for more than just IT. Some of them use it for other administrative departments. So I've created a view for facilities. And my facilities users, who are members of the facilities profile, can only see facilities tickets. So that's an example of what you can do with a view. You could have different queues have their own views, etc. Your typical user may not have as many views as I have in my environment. But what we've added to Remedyforce Summer 14 is now we have the ability for you to go ahead and get right in and edit the view. That was a bit difficult before Summer 14 when we moved to the Unified Console. So for example, if I want to modify a view now, all I have to do is click on the little pencil to edit the criteria. And that's where I can edit the filters, etc., just like we used to when we were using just the standard pages. So we can filter by owner and then filter by additional fields. So for example, the rule I have for my incident queue view is needs to be in the incident queue, the tickets need to be assigned to it, and the state open equals needs to equal true. So that's an example of applying the filter that enabled me to determine what this view will display. And as I've just pointed out, you can edit those views now directly from the console if you have proper permissions. Another capability we just added is the ability to create a new view right from within the Unified Console, if you have permissions. So you could just simply click on Create, and then you'll work with the view just like you used to with standard pages. You would give it a name, you determine if you want them filtered by a queue or all incidents. These are all my queues. And then have additional filters here. Very easy now to work with views to make modifications, etc. Okay. Now, most of you, again, who are already familiar with Remedyforce know that at any time you can sort records by column by just selecting a column heading. One of the things that I really think is great with this current release is that now you have the ability to select multiple records. So maybe I'm going to select 259, 258, and 244 because they're all in the open state, and I know that they all pertain to assigning a mobile phone. So instead of going into each of those tickets individually to update fields or to change the owners, I can select multiple records and click on Change Owner. And then I can select who I want that assigned to. Or there was a button for queue. I could have selected a specific queue. Okay? All right. Now, I am also going to show you that you can change other fields as well. So for example, maybe I want to select 4 tickets here, and I want to update a particular field. You can update fields or statuses now for multiple tickets simultaneously, which is really terrific. For example, I could get in here, these are the fields that I could modify right here, and perhaps I want to go ahead and change these to status, and then the value I select from my lookup. Maybe I'm going to say that all of these are assigned, and then I can apply that. And so I've just updated the status field for the tickets that I had selected. Okay? So those are two things that really help you work with multiple tickets simultaneously. It's a great way to provide updates. Okay? Now, I just showed you from a list view selecting a couple of tickets. You certainly know that you can always do a global search, if you will. So for example, let's go ahead and search all incidents in my incident queue that contain the word mobile. And now all the tickets that contain that word mobile are here. And if I want to do a quick assignment for everything that's mobile, I could do it that way. I could quickly find what I'm looking for. And then maybe I'm going to go ahead and quickly assign these folks or these tickets to telecommunications. So that's a great productivity enhancement in my opinion. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and clear that filter out, and we'll keep moving with some of the other enhancements for the console. All right, so we're going to go ahead and click refresh. And I'm going to change my views and go up to all. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a peek at a few more things that we've added. We now, at the bottom of the screen, will display the total number of records based on whichever view you're in. So for example, I have 134 records available in Incident Management with the All view. In the old days, you would only know how many you had per page, and then you would see how many pages you had. So I'd have to keep going to the end and figure out the count. Now, no matter which page I'm on, I can see the total number of tickets I have. I go back to Incident Queue. You see that number updated to 31. I only have 31 tickets sitting in the incident queue. Very helpful. Okay. Another thing that we've added with Summer 14, which is something I really like, is now you can modify the column widths of the console, and they persist. So for each user, based on the browser they're using, they can simply modify the column widths. Okay, we haven't been able to do this for a while, right? And maybe I want to increase the width of description. Okay, so I can start dragging those around. Once I've done that, in the future, whenever I log into Remedyforce from the same browser, and right now I'm using Firefox, the column widths would have been maintained. That's a feature a lot of the people I've spoken to really like. Okay. All right. Now, I've already talked about the ability to create views, and I've talked a little bit about the unified console again that we introduced not in summer but a previous release, and we've added broadcasts. Okay? So most of you are aware that you used to have to access a specific tab for broadcasts. Since we brought that over to the unified console, it's a lot easier to use it this way so that I can quickly get in here, use my various views, general information broadcasts, etc. It gives me a quicker way to get in here and open them up to determine what scrolls and what I want to link them to. All right. Let's take a peek at the incident form itself. All right. I'm going to go ahead and open Ticket 255. Now, most of you are well aware that you can modify page layouts for any of the forms or objects within Remedyforce. Any Force, Salesforce platform application, actually. So out of the box, we have specific layouts, default layouts, for the different forms within the consoles. With each object, we have numerous fields, many of which are not even being exposed on the form out of the box. We created a lot of fields that we don't always expose because, we know that people might want to use some of those, or they've asked for them. But we only have specific fields on the form out of the box, and then your administrators can very easily add or remove fields and move fields around and change the layout of a form, and we'll look at where they go to do that in a minute. Now, on my incident form, I chose, for example, to add the incident source field that already exists for the object with the drop-down values. And I chose to say, to add what's the preferred contact method. So for this particular ticket, this ticket came in via chatter.